Hey, Nick Peterson here, about to hop on a plane to Vegas for a couple days. Um, and I do a lot of one-on-one work with some, high-level clients. We have clients and partners that are in the billions with a B. We also have people that are just starting, maybe creeping over five figures, looking to get to six. And pretty much everybody has the same fear or anxiety, which is, am I going to be okay? Am I going to run out of money? And how am I going to fund what's next? No matter how much money I make, I can't seem to get the things that I want: more free time, spend time with my kids, paying off my mortgage, stuff like that. And we get in the marketer mentality and we try to sell our way out of it, right? We try to market and sell and generate revenue. Now, it's really important that as you're in business for longer, there's industry trends, there's personal trends, and there's your own business trends that are all a little bit different. They're not necessarily in sync. And so if you're a fitness studio or an accounting firm, right, you're going to see January spike up because there's a very natural deadline and some urgency and there's a lot of intent. People are searching for New Year's resolutions, tax resolution, all that stuff, right? And then it ebbs down, right? Then the next year comes around, January spikes up and it ebbs down. Now, hopefully, this January is higher than last January, and the average for the year is higher than the year before, right? That's consistent growth. That's actually the average is growing in a straight line. But here's the mistake we make: we don't recognize those trends. Okay. So we assume it's a fundamental attribution error. We assume that it's something we did that created this spike. And then we assume it's something we did that created this dip, when in reality, that's a natural ebb and flow of the industry, of your business, maybe your personality, right? Some people are super cyclic in personality. And so we experience this growth and we say, hey, whatever we did worked. And then we extrapolate it out over the next 12 months and our expenses expand, assuming we're going to continue the growth, right? But then that natural dip comes in. So not only have we experienced this dip, which is natural, we should have been prepared for it, we have more expenses. A few cycles of this, and your revenue may double and your profit hasn't, right? Your revenue may double, but your stress level has gone up because of those razor thin margins, right? So it's not a marketing thing. It's not always a sales thing. What it is, it's a cash flow engineering thing. It's understanding the ebbs and flows of your cash flow, how you take on expenses, what kind of expenses, and then identifying what is the thing we're actually trying to fund. Is it retirement? Is it paying off our mortgage? Is it spending 10 hours a week more with our son or our daughter? Is it any of those paying for college, right? And when we identify the trends and then we have our priorities, we can now actually identify exactly when it is time to take on expenses, exactly when it is time to market more or it is time to sell more, right? So if you look at your revenues and you look at your expenses, and this comes from Dan Nicholson, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, uh, more than likely, every time you had a great month, you took on extra expenses, a little more staff to help you out, some softwares, maybe you just bought some stuff because you had a good month, right? And then when the revenue dips down or doesn't continue in that straight line, it creates a lot of stress and anxiety because your expenses have gone up, right? It is not always time to scale. It is not always time to spend more. And we cannot extrapolate little bits of data out, right? When somebody says, I'm on $1 million run rate, uh, it doesn't mean anything. I collected $1 million this year and I'm on $1 million run rate based on this little 1 month of data are two very, very different things. The problem is people with the marketer mentality that don't understand these trends, they operate like the person that collected $1 million over a year, even though they haven't, right? They've made a massive assumption, right? And that kills us. So what we need to do, so we know when to market, we know when to sell, we know when to pivot, we know when to take on expenses, is what is called cash flow engineering. Now, Dan Nicholson, who invented this methodology that we're using, and I'm co-hosting, are teaching the cash flow engineering class. I strongly recommend you drop into cfeclass.com. Even if you don't buy it, there's like 10 days of emails that will just change the way you look at everything. It's like every day, it's like an MBA in business strategy. So I would jump in there, cfeclass.com. I'm also going to spend the next 4 or 5 days hitting you with my perspective on these concepts and principles in the thought bomb email. So nickpeterson.com/bombs. If you want the daily email of how I am using cash flow engineering to reach my goals, you could drop on the thought bombs. If you're already there, great. But cfeclass.com. Stop marketing, stop selling. Well, don't stop doing it, but stop pivoting your marketing, pivoting your selling, taking on expenses. If you do not have the framework to engineer your cash flow, okay, many times after your best revenue month, because of the decisions we make and the way we extrapolate out, we are at the highest risk, right? It's kind of counterintuitive, but many companies get in the worst situation after their highest income months because they don't have a cash flow engineering framework in place. So I'm sharing that with you. Hopefully it's useful. I really want you guys to be around for a long time. None of this flash in the pan stuff. I want you to engineer your cash flow so that your business is around for a really long time. But more importantly, it is serving you, right? Your business is funding the things that you care about and getting you your personal life where you want to go. Cool. cfeclass.com, or you just drop on the thought bombs if you just want my perspective on the whole thing. Cool. See you on the inside.